Think of huge stars and exactly how they make their debuts on big events. It's always fascinating to know, I think anyway. I've been lucky enough to appear at this venue, this very famous venue, which really shot back to fame all thanks to the movie with Renée Zellweger. Remember that one? Where she starred as Judy Garland on the very final sort of London appearance of Judy at the Talk of the Town night spot. And really, this particular venue has so much history. So many great stars have graced that stage, including me, pulling your leg, of course. But I have appeared there. And as I say, you get in there and you wonder about the wonderful history of the place. Because the London Hippodrome, as it then was one of those places that everybody wanted to play, even before it became the talk of the town. But on this day, all those years ago in 1958, a major US star opened that particular night spot for the impresario Bernard Delfont and the chief catering king Charles Forty, who I was also lucky enough to meet and work for a short period. Fascinating stuff, I'm sure you'll agree. But exactly what happened? As ever, let me explain. Hi, good morning. How are you? Nice to see you as ever, and thank you so much for joining me today. I'll have a wave. Yes, it's not bad. Yeah, I know. Now, I'm talking about the London Hippodrome, which, as I say, if you saw the Judy Garland film, became the talk of the town on this day, quite literally, in 1958. And they were looking for a huge star, to launch it with, because you've got to remember this had been a pivotal theatre. In fact, this was the theatre that had become infamous a few years prior to that, when the then very newly married, but, Prince Philip had popped backstage to see the actress, singer, entertainer Pat Kirkwood, which started all those terrible rumours, which of course were totally unfounded, according to Pat Kirkwood. Didn't do her career any good, but literally he'd been to see a show at the then London Hippodrome. But on this day in 1958, the impresario Bernard Delfont, who went on to become such a mega force in the world of entertainment, launched this brand new venue. They basically kitted it out, making it so that you could literally dine, wine, and of course watch a top international show every night at 11 o'clock on the stage. Now, I've got to confess, I've appeared at the London Hippodrome myself, firstly for Peter Stringfellow when he turned it into the Hippodrome Disco, and a few years ago when I was lucky enough to perform myself alongside another brilliant act, the late lamented Joe Longthorne. But back to 1958, what could they do to make this a spectacular opening? Who could they get? Lots of big names were bandishing around, as one can imagine, and they settled upon this beautiful, brilliant, very talented, very sexy lady. Now, to many people, she will always be remembered as Catwoman in Batman of a Generation. But everybody knows there was a lot more to Eartha Kitt than that. Eartha Kitt knew exactly how to sell sensuality on stage. Santa Baby, Love for Sale, all of those brilliant hits, that she enjoyed. And of course, she signed on the dotted line because she simply wanted to become the very first person to say she played the brand new talk of the town. She got a colossal fee, quite a few thousand, let me tell you. But the lure was the theatricality of it, you see. What was very clever about the talk of the town, they made it different than a theatre. So much so that on the opening night, Eartha Kitt emerged from beneath the stage, sat in a glittering gold Rolls-Royce. Now, the rumour was at that particular time that this was part of the payment for Eartha Kitt, to appear in that particular show. As she told me many years later when she was making a lot of big hit disco records, she never ever kept the Rolls-Royce. She went along with the story because somebody literally made it up in the media, but it certainly wasn't part of the deal. Apparently, it actually belonged to the impresario Bernard Delfont, but as she said, good copy, got a lot of people in. The talk of the town reigned right through until 1983. Every major star that you can imagine appeared there. Apparently, they could not lure the one person they wanted to get in to the talk of the town, and that was, of course, the brilliant Frank Sinatra. Even Elvis Presley liked the idea of the intimacy of the new theatre diner sort of look. But sadly, as times change, in 1983, it finally closed down due to rising costs and basically, as Bernard Delfont told me, not really that many big stars to lure people to stay in London at 11 o'clock at night. The likes of Tom Jones, Dame Shirley Bassey were still huge names, but of course they weren't appearing as often as they did at the start of their careers. The very final person to appear on the stage as the talk of the town was none other than the brilliant singer, impressionist Joe Longthorne, a man who I got to know very well when I went along and we accompanied him as he picked up his MBE from the then Prince of Wales at Buckingham Palace. He said he could rightly be the man that closed the talk of the town. Nonsense, of course, but a great fun story. But it was Eartha Kitt on this day, on this night, that really launched an absolute theatrical giant, all thanks to her towering talent. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.